Hello everybody, critical update here again. So I had time to look at the CBC article in detail and then go through the Calgary law firm on statement of claim. They've made the exact same mistake which has held me back. This is critical. Vince Lawyer, Tina Marovich, Les Manuk, and there's another. I can't say her name properly. I need you guys, I need everybody for this video. It's got to reach the First Nations and claim. It's got to go to the law firm. They've made a critical error. A very critical error. You'll find the truth of this 3 years old on my timeline. There's nobody in Canada who's done more work on the ICC than myself, whether people like that or not. I should have actually tagged Richard Albert in this. Post this video, I'm going to tag him too. And here's the thing, everybody. When you go after Canadian politicians in the ICC, absolutely through the UN, that decision can be made binding by the five. What can't be bound is non-UN status, which means Vatican City, which means the Vatican, the Church. You can't take the Church to International Criminal Court. They're off limits. I don't make the law or the system or the rules of world governance. All I can tell you all is this. By that firm, those former politicians, Mark O'Reilly, you mentioned it, I don't trust lawyers. And Canadians, you have every right not to. Same with First Nations people, the Canadian Indians of the Indian Act. Don't trust everything as it is, because I can tell you right now, they've already failed. If they follow through, just as I had to come back on mine, and I got to work on triggering prosecution, I'm going to tell everybody right now, and it has to be shared to First Nations, it's got to go to that law firm. And I've already talked to the binding five, the P5, who will look at the decision made by ICC if they take the case. Con may not be allowed to take the case for the simple fact that law firm has placed the Vatican inside their claim. It has to be removed. This has to be focused exclusively and inclusively only on former Canadian politicians. Absolutely. You must leave any charge against the Church out, because it automatically scraps it. It destroys your ability to prosecute. It wrecks the case. I know this for a fact. It's not even their evidence that's there. It's not even all the tremendous evidence, which again, like I like to talk about exhibits, the exhibits are absolutely there. I've already looked at a lot of the case. Like I said, the Queen isn't in this unless they can carbon date bodies pre-1952. And even still, Queen Elizabeth wasn't ascended prior to 1952. So no matter what, Queen Elizabeth is not in this case, can't be in this case. And anyone bringing forward Queen Elizabeth is only going to ruin the case, a very good case. Same with the Vatican. As sad as that is, yes, the Church is guilty. I'm Catholic, but they are not UN member status. They have 4 nations in this world, 2 P5 UNSC, who back them up militarily. P5 are off limits, so if those bodies are pre-1952, UK will make themselves off limits. However, none, and I repeat, none of the Canadian politicians at any time prior to that are off limits. Premiers and absolutely prime ministers of all those time frames are absolutely liable. The 215's just the tip of the iceberg. There's going to be very many more found in churches all over the place that participated in this. We can go all the way to Newfoundland. Boys of St. Vincent. Does everybody remember that incredible story? It's real, the case is real. The problem is the affidavit. The same problem I have to recraft my affidavit. I was given absolutely the best audience of the highest level of ICC just weeks ago. Everybody, you got to share this, because whether it's a welder, would-be politician working on it again, the reality is there's no one else in Canada who's done the actual work to make a legitimate ICC case. Should First Nations allow, and should we as Canadians allow these lawyers, this law firm out of Calgary, to go forward in their wrong affidavit and wrong narrative on their statement of claim? They're going to absolutely ruin the case. 100%. It's already done if they include Vatican. Has to be removed. Everybody's got to share this. We can get justice. I made a promise to Treaty 4, 6, 7, 8, and 10. Perry Bellegarde was there for day 2 when I went to that 2-day event with the First Nations and those treaties. I promised all the chiefs. I would tell the truth, as I did then, as I'm doing it now. This is true for all chiefs across Canada. Canadian Indians are bound to ICC2 and the UN. We're in a UN state. That is the full authority, and you can absolutely get justice. But this is a monumental error, whether it's on purpose, because some of these lawyers are former politicians, former assigned cabinet, and or former assigned ministry positions of government. I'm not saying they're in collusion here. All I'm saying is they may honestly very well be making not a simple mistake, but a genuine mistake, because they don't know any better. There's never been a Canadian to the ICC. And if they're really sincere about it, they will remove the Vatican. And the only reason why is ICC cannot bind the Vatican, which will turn all the Canadian politicians loose just because they've filed a wrong submission and affidavit, the statement of claim. It's wrong. ICC can't bind that. The P5 won't bind that. We can only go after Canadian politicians. Absolutely. That is the gross error that they're making. They can't trigger a prosecution. And even if they do, regardless of how the case would go, the P5 won't recognize it if you go after the Catholic Church. I didn't make this world. You can go back 3 years. I show everybody Vatican City, the Vatican in this world, and where they sit in international law, which means they are their own law. Absolutely. The only city-state, which I wrote an Oxford paper on this, they are one of the city-states that the UN has no binding authority over. Absolutely none. It would have to be done by war. ICC will be forced to drop it if the lawyers go through with Vatican. They can only, I repeat, only go after Canadian politicians, which they have an extremely excellent case. Stick to what you can get a prosecution on, or you upset the whole thing and everyone gets off scot-free. And again, I don't know if they're doing it on purpose, because they've had the Crown power themselves. These lawyers involved in this case are with the Crown, sworn to the Crown, and absolutely were in these ministries in the past, which means they're in with government, unless they truly just don't know any better. We're going to find out, but it's up to each and every one of you. The writer of the CBC article is Megan Graham. She's a writer on Twitter. I've already reached out to her. If all of you can go on Twitter, Megan Graham, it's Meg CBC. That's her Twitter handle. That's all you have to do is Meg CBC. She comes up. Click on it. Write a comment. It's just a story just in the last 14 hours. Please, everybody, do this work. Share the video. It's real. It's 100%. I have always stuck to the truth. Everything I do is real, verifiable. Kelly Nightcraft is tagged in this. She sees this. Again, I've already reached out to the P5, all 5 of them. They already have my statement on the issue. Should the law firm not do it, and should, after all of you have shared and they still ignore it and they go with the narrative, then I will be adding them to my ICC challenge when I go forward with the absolute real one. That's reality. Thanks, Mark. Thanks, everybody, for bringing forward the story. Blink, blink, I may have missed it. God bless all of you. Share, do the work, comment to Meg Graham, comment out to everybody. Go to the law firm if you can find them. Reach out to them. I will be when I get home today. Thanks, everybody. Have a great night. Bye now.